whole thing at the Botanical Gardens in City Park, and we essentially were building like a restaurant and a TV show every week and bringing it all up and tearing it down. And it was crazy, thinking back to that time. But through that, I really developed my relationship with Frida. And then Reed was like, I need you on Frida's team now. So I became Frida's day-to-day manager. And and then started working with Jelly, and it just all kind of went from there. But yeah, it was a journey. And I guess my light bulb moment was really just, as a booking agent, you're only dealing with touring, right? And that can get like tiresome because touring is always a huge puzzle to figure out. And you only have really access and control of one element of the artist's career. And I just felt so passionately about these two artists that I wanted to know more about them. I wanted to be more involved in their day-to-day life and help support them in any way I could, just because I believe that they were so incredibly talented and they were working with such incredibly talented, wonderful people. And so I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to support them as well. And so, that's how I came to Mid-Citizen.
Tavia, you want to share a little bit of your journey with us too?
I'm gonna make it real quick. I had no interest in working in the music industry at all. I was a 911 operator. I went to an open mic. I saw Tank perform. I commissioned her for a poetry piece. Ironically, we became cool. And then people were asking her to, like, when she was gonna have a show, because she never had a show, and she kept telling the people that I was her manager. I was not her manager. I don't know why she believed. Yeah, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I will help you get your first project together. And I was also working at the United States Department of Agriculture, and I was on them people clock helping her put her album together. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of passionate about this. And I was in a very spiritual place in my own life, and I felt like God just showed me what I was supposed to be doing. And I quit both of my jobs, and I lost everything. But I stayed managing Tank, and I'm happy I did.
I think that was a pretty good risk that you took there, and following your passion and following that gut feeling that you had.
Yeah.
It worked out.
It worked
kinda
out. It worked out.
One thing that I'm hearing here, and I want you guys all to, pay attention to this. I think every person up here has demonstrated that they are a little bit of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to basically anything, right? We got folks who were from 911 operators and folks like working at the USDA Agricultural Department to, a lawyer, having your own business. And I find a lot working with the artist community that there are a lot of artists who do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, take care of a lot of their own business, and are good at it and adept at it. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys for your expertise on is, how does an artist who has been doing so much of their own booking, has been doing their own negotiations, has been taking care of themselves for so long, how do they know when they're ready for a manager? What is it that you guys look for when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I need a manager? You have like a checklist that you go down and go, okay, you're ready or you're not ready?
I think I look at the artist's passion for his own craft, and outside of his passion, his work ethic. Because the worst thing to do is have an artist that in my terms, not serious. In his mind or her mind, she may be serious, but in my terms, you're not working hard enough, or you feel like you have succeeded, although you really haven't. You may have succeeded to a certain level, but that level is not, to your full potential. So I find if I find an artist that is passionate, like I said, works hard, work ethic is crazy, then that's somebody that I can believe in. Because first thing your artist has to do is believe in themselves. But to kind of what you were saying about, the artist doing everything on their own, the artist also has to realize that they need help moving forward. And they have to be willing to separate a little of the duties. You know, I've had an artist before that was hard to separate and wanted me to basically bring every deal to the table and discuss with him. Like, this is the deal, you know, what do you think? And this, I'm like, sometimes I can't ask you what you think. I have to know what you think. And I tell artists, like, you bringing me on as your manager, not your assistant. If you're looking for an assistant, let's find you an assistant. But if you want a manager, then this is what I could provide as your manager. So you have to allow me to make some of the decision-making process and believe that I'm in your best interest in what I'm doing.
Go ahead. He said a lot. I agree with like everything he said. Trust in the relationship between the artist and the manager is very, very important. Also, I like to tell people, like, it is not the manager cannot guarantee your success. You know, like, and the manager can't work harder for your dream than you are. But the manager is like your best teammate. Things I look for is passion. Things I look for is like the authenticity in your art and what you do. If I'm moved, if I'm not passionate about what you're doing, me as a manager, I can't like take it on. I have to be passionate about it, because if I'm passionate about it, it's easier for me to go to bat for you when I'm in the rooms with these people trying to get you the best deal. I could vouch for your work and what you do. And also, my word is important to me. So the part where he said about the work ethic, like, I'm in a room telling people, like, this artist is XYZ. I need you to be able to show up as XYZ.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. One thing I also think is, you know, important, like, respect, trust, kindness. Like, so as we've said, it's such an intimate relationship between artist and manager, and you have to be willing to take a phone call at midnight if they just want to shoot the shit and talk about creative plans for the next year or 2 years down the line, you know? And if that phone rings at midnight and every time you're just like, oh, I don't want to pick this up, I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to deal with this person, like, that's never going to work, you know? So just, yeah, really knowing that, you know, you might not know that right from the jump, right? Like, that's going to take a minute to establish all of that rapport and trust and everything. But you can tell pretty quickly, like, if they're the kind of person whose work ethic matches yours, whose kindness and respect for other people in the world matches yours, and all that kind of stuff, because it's hard, you know, when that stuff doesn't align, for you to be having to make excuses for your artists and things like that. Like, that's just not, it's not going to work out in the long term. So yeah, finding somebody that you're really passionate about and that you also truly like, you know, I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, very similar to what Mary said. I was really just going to say, like, your core ideals and, like, moral compass, right? Like, we ain't got to believe the same thing. We ain't got to vote for the same thing. But, you know, there's going to come a time where we need to align on those things. Also, I need to be able to trust you. Like, as an artist, you know, manager, I've been in spaces with my artists where you are the only person in this country. We're in a whole nother country that I know. I need to be able to trust you like you need to be able to trust me, so I don't want a flim-flammy person whose moral compass flips, you know. I want to be able to know that you are who you are, you stand on what you stand on. And like I said, we don't have to agree on everything, but the ideal should be somewhat in the same, you know, thing, because if I'm going to bat for you, it needs to be something that I believe in as well, you know.
It's really just two things for me. Number one, I have to be a fan of you. Like, I've never managed or worked with an artist that I wasn't a fan of. And it's not to say that I have to be the biggest fan of your work, but at the same time, like, if I don't like your music, why would you want me to be your manager anyway? But, and the second thing is, because, like, I'm the youngest here, and I'm kind of the newest at this, but at the same time, like, I've been in it long enough to know shit from sugar. And I remember when I first started managing, like, a lot of artists like that just met me would ask me, you know, to be their manager, and they didn't even know me. And the first thing I always asked them, which was a question, I forget who told me this, but I always ask them, what do you have to manage? Like, if you want me to be your manager, you have to have something to manage. Like, what is going on? Like, have you never put out a project? How many projects do you have out? Have you ever done a show? Like, what do you have that I can put my hands on and manipulate for the better? Because that's what I do. So that's really just my two.
And I think a lot of people think that they are ready for a manager before they really are. I think that they go, oh, if I get a manager, the manager can help take me to, you know, the next level, which is true to a certain extent, but you also have to have established yourself, your artistry, your craft, your vision for your future and your goals. I think that's like such an important conversation. Tavia and I were talking about this on the car on the way here about how just like, you know, if they're not able to clearly define their goals, how am I going to help you reach those goals, you know? And it needs to be something that we can work towards together. But it also, like, you do need, like, you know, some artists, you know, take off on the internet and have never played a show in their life, but need a manager because of all of the attention and all of the, you know, people coming at them asking them to do certain things and them not knowing how to answer those questions or not having the wherewithal to know what questions to ask. And I think, like, we can be really helpful in that regard of just being like, all right, that's bullshit, don't listen to that. That's a real thing, yes, like, you know, think about that or whatever, but there has to be something there to manage and goals to work towards too that you both feel like you can work towards together. Like, I've had conversations with certain artists that I'm like, where you want to go is not someplace I can take you. And like, we have to be honest about that, about our own capabilities and about, you know, and if they want something, if they're like, you know, like, I want to be the biggest pop star in the world, that may not be necessarily I'm the best at getting them to that point, you know, or whatever. But, you know, just making sure your visions are aligned.
So it sounds like there's a list of tangibles and intangibles, right? So I'm hearing trustworthiness. I'm hearing someone who has work ethic, right? I'm hearing someone who is passionate, who has a vision. And then there's also having something to manage. Have you been moving on your own, right? Have you been putting projects out? Have you been trying to book shows? Are there people who are asking you questions or asking things of you that need to be organized, or you need somebody else to kind of have their hands on while you do the art that only you can do? That sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, what was I going to say? The artist has to understand that when they ask you to be their manager, they're asking you to work for them. And a lot of times when we get approached, or at least when I get approached, it's by an artist that, like you said, thinks that they think so highly of me as a manager that they think that I can take them to the next level just by being who I am, right? And I appreciate that and I honor that. That's truly a compliment. But at the same time, like, that's not how it works. So in doing that and asking that question, I want them to then go back and realize, okay, so if I don't have anything to manage, what are the next steps? And I've helped artists from the ground up. Like, I don't have to be your manager to like give you some steps to take to then you need a manager. Because in order for me to come work for you, I need, one, something to do, and two, are you willing to learn? Because that's really my goal at the end of everything. Like, I want my artists, even if you don't want me to be your manager no more, I want you to know more after you had your experience with me than before. So are you willing to learn, and are you the type of person that I want to work for? Because at the end of the day, as a manager, it's a very humbling thing when you have a great idea and your artist doesn't want to go with it, because then you realize I'm not the boss. So, yeah, just wanted to say that.
I think part three that you might have missed that we're not talking about, but as a manager, to be honest with you, like 1 and 2 is good, but part 3 is, are you able or will you be able to create some revenue? Because as a manager, we're not charging you any type of fees. We get paid when you get paid. We get a percentage of what you make.
Please say that again,
Yeah.
because I don't think that that's something that everybody in this room has heard before.
Yeah, we get, so as we're working, until you make a check, we've been working for free. So, and at any point, you could leave us. So at any point, we can take you to that level that you start making real money and you decide, oh, I like that manager better. Now, what we've done, we've got no compensation for, or very minimal compensation. And now you've gone to this other manager who is going to now enter into a revenue-making business already. So as a manager, we have to believe that, that's why we say loyalty, but we have to, when we say passionate, we're passionate because we believe in your craft just as well as you do, sometimes more than you do. We believe that you could be a star. You could be a superstar, in order for, so we're not taking it on as a job. Your publicist charges you a monthly fee, regardless of what they can and can't do. They get paid anyway. Your manager doesn't. He doesn't get paid, she doesn't get paid any advances to help you move your career along. So we have to look at you as somebody that I think we can take your talent and exploit it for financial gain for us and yourself. So it's not just for us, because we get the smaller side of the picture. We're not over here getting 50-50 with you and all that as your manager.
I think that you really just built another workshop that we need to put on, which is how do we break that pie up? Like who gets what and when? Right. Because the amount of times that I hear somebody say things like, oh, this guy said he'll manage me. I'm going to give him, this X amount of money and then he's going to book that. That's not how that relationship is supposed to work. So I just want to reiterate, we have 5 people up here who are professional talent managers who are saying they work on behalf of the artist. When the artist gets paid, when the artist books shows, when the artist has things going on that are revenue generating, that is when they get paid. All right? Now, to that point, because we are talking about this and we're talking about artistry as a business, I want to make sure you guys have hit on this quite a bit. We've been circling around it, but I want to just kind of put a fine point on this. When we are talking about branding for artists, what role does your artist having a strong and consistent brand play in your relationship with them? How does it benefit you? How does it make your job easier when they understand their brand?
I guess I'll start from the beginning with me. Like, I feel like I got real lucky because Tank came from the spoken word world. So that was her brand, using her words to inspire others. And what we did was build off of that. That's how the band became a thing. I mean, Nate can attest to this. Nate had a band. We was like, we're going to create this collective. So what we did to start booking shows was Tank would get called to be as a poet, and we'd say, oh, we have a band. We're going to bring the band for free. We charge them a price and then say we're going to bring the band for free. So who don't want, like, a nice band to, like, rev up the event? So that is basically how we built the Tank and a Bangas brand. Like, even a lot of people didn't know, like, the first Jazz Fest they did, Tank got booked for that. And she was like, well, I'm going to bring the band so from the very beginning, we were like building on her poetic talents, and it started booking shows for itself. And she has stayed authentic to what she started from, and that was her spoken word. She knew from the very beginning, like, this is how I want to build my career.
Anyone else want to add on to that? Like how branding is at least an asset when you are trying to book gigs, trying to help people to, expand their reach. How does that help?
Branding is a lot. Like, if your artist has a consistent brand, that helps you because people that want to book your artist or people that want to partner with your artist know what they're getting. You know what I mean? That it's a consistent thing. Like, this is who they are. But at the same time, if your artist has a versatile brand, if they have something where they're not they're not pinholed in one thing, but they're versatile in so many different things. Like, it makes me think about Pell. Like, I've seen Pell do stuff for Samsung, Apple, Target. I've seen stuff in movies, and like his brand, even though like he is very much himself, he can be family friendly, he can be vulgar, he can be everything in between, and that's really helped him. Like, he hasn't sold a hilarious amount of records, but he's a very successful artist in the way that he's able to brand himself and make himself marketable to partnerships. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what you want to do as an artist. You want to be yourself, but you also want to be yourself in a way that other people like, because that's really the definition of cool, is being yourself and everybody else liking it. You know what I mean? So.
And I think we're blessed to come from a city that, you know, the world looks at us to be authentic and be ourselves. So obviously, like, working with Tank, super authentic, but even like growing up and seeing the currencies of the world, who, I mean, I literally just saw Spitter last night at the game. He joking with the Pelican, the mascot, like, just, I mean, and that's who he is. Like, that's his brand. It wasn't a concert, it wasn't a performance, it wasn't no audience. That's just who he is. And I think here in New Orleans, because we have such polarizing like figures here, you know what I'm saying? I think that like the branding of being who you are all the time can be helpful, because I've also worked with artists where like you had to put on like this thing, right? This facade. For some people that works. They need to do that. But yeah, I think that's one thing different here with Brandon, is that you kind of get to be yourself. Frida is Frida. Like, I go to Frida's house and hang out in Frida, the same Frida you see on the TV show. You know, like so I think that that's an advantage that we have that, you know, we should lean more into here in New Orleans. People already are expecting us to be different. People are already expecting us to be ourselves. And so lean into that, you know?
And I think just like, you know, establishing your own unique identity and, you know, and not being afraid to tell the world who you are and why they should care about you, why they should listen to your music, you know? I think that, like, something that Mid-Citizen does, or like one of our kind of ethoses as a company, is like, we love to work with artists that don't fit inside a particular box, because, you know, no offense to a lot of artists out there, but, you know, if you're just doing the same thing and you're trying to be a carbon copy of somebody who's already been there and done that, that's not going to get you anywhere. They already are who they are, and they already did that damn thing, you know? So, like, sometimes it's a challenge as a manager if you're like, you know, if you do have those unique artists that you can't pigeonhole, but I think that's what is the most exciting part about it. And it really does help you, you know, sell the artist, I guess, when they have their a strong brand identified. It's just like, you can't, you know, put Big Frida in a sentence without hearing, like, knowing that she is the queen of bounce, you know? And Frida puts on a show like no other. And so when we're trying to, you know, pitch Frida for campaigns or for festivals or for whatever it might be, they know exactly who Frida is and they know exactly what they're gonna get. And that doesn't mean that Frida can't be flexible within that realm. Like, I liked what you said about, you know, Pell can be raunchy, he can be family friendly, so can Frida, you know what I mean? And like, and that's so cool, because you need to have, like, you don't need to be like, this is my brand, this is my identity, I'm this one thing. You can have flexibility and fluidity all through that in your brand, you know, but just truly knowing who you are, what makes you unique and special, that should all be a part of your brand.
I think at some point everybody on this panel has talked or said the word authenticity, right? And when we think about, I think it's kind of a very tender thing to talk about with artists, because on the one hand, art is so personal, it's so passionate, it's a part of who, you know, the creator of that art is. It's also a product, right? If you are going into business with your art ends up being a product. And what is the truth about the products that we love and the products that have existed for a long time? There's consistency. There's an expectation that they're going to meet, and then they meet that expectation, right? They are what they are, but in every single instance that you see them, they're going to be, like, what if you opened a can of Coca-Cola and it didn't taste like Coca-Cola? You'd be pissed, right? You'd never drink another can of Coke again. That is completely not what I expected. And so what I hear our panelists up here saying is that even though you are an artist and you are an evolving, growing, living, breathing person creating this product, there is a level of authenticity and consistency that they need in order to make the business side of the art work. Right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna move to the next question. It's a quick one, and so you guys can just like rapid fire this one. But I wanna know what you think is the most important element of someone's personal or professional brand. When you look back on the artists that you've worked with, the situations that you guys have been in, the things that have helped to make or break a deal, what is the thing that you would say is the number one aspect of a brand that they cannot go without?
I think the brand's identity. The brand has to be able to be identified by the masses of what, just what you said, the consistency. What is it exactly? What am I getting if I get this brand? Whether it's, if you look at it from anything from cars to clothes to people, you expect certain things. You buy a certain car because you expect this to be a quality car. You buy certain clothes because you expect the clothes to be quality. It's going to last long. It's going to wash good, whatever it is. And with an artist, you expect that artist to give you what you was looking for. When you become, I think, a fan or how I consider hardcore fan base for certain artists, regardless of what that person puts out, we're going to go download and listen to it without getting a preview because we're already expecting a certain level from that person. So when you're able to identify with that brand, then you're going to go to it. So the biggest thing I think artists have to do is build the brand identity of who they are and what they are going to consistently give to their audience.
Anything else?
I would say have the elevator pitch. I would always hear about elevator pitch, elevator pitch. As a manager, of course, I've got your elevator pitches down for who I'm talking to, but I have seen deals be pushed over the table or artists be considered extra special or put to the priority because the artist themselves was also able to articulate what they were trying to do, and to me that's a part of branding as well, being able to pitch yourself, being able to tell yourself what you can identify as and not just rely on the talk to my manager, get my manager. I think speaking on yourself and speaking on behalf of yourself just speaks to a lot of different things and also speaks to you being serious, so yeah, I think that's an important part that wasn't touched.
An element of what they just said is important. It's also how you treat people. How are you the standoffish artist? Are you the diva-ish artist? Or are you the artist that's going to stay, well past the autograph signing time because there's 50 more kids that want your autograph and you know that you only come to Topeka, Kansas once every 10 years, so you got to get all these kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you at your core, it's hard to define a good person, but you know what I mean. Are you at your core a good person? Like, are you grateful for the things that God has given you and the abilities that he's blessed you with, and are you grateful for what you have, and do you transmit that to your fan base, the consumer? Like, do you show the fans that you love them just as much as they love you? That's what's important to me, because I was a fan.
Anything else before we move on? No? They hit it. All of us hit? They did it. Okay. So back to the business side of things. What is it that the artists that are in the audience today that are here to learn, how do I work with a manager? How do I get a manager? How do I get a better manager? What is it that they can do right now to make it easy for
money, or or if you have like unrealistic expectations, I guess, of just like, oh, I've never played a show before, but I want to play Coachella next year. That ain't happening, so I think just being realistic about your expectations and clearly defining your goals so that when you're speaking to a manager and you're developing that relationship, you can figure out if that's the right person to help you get where you want to go.
That's a good one. Y'all took all the
that was the one right there. Being realistic. I got nothing to follow up off of that. Please be realistic.
No, but I think definitely, taking your art serious, and I know, so also, my unique view on this is also, I was an artist first. Like I wrote songs. I was an engineer, was a producer, and then went to Tennessee State to like start learning about the business side of it. And so I always like come from a very empathetic sort of, right? Because most of my manager friends were not artists first, so it's like I know how it feels to create and like have to put out this vulnerable, part of you and really do it. And so I try to be empathetic to that. But I mean, at the end of the day, like we're trying to sell something. Like Mousa said, I know I try to, really be nice and dance around it, but we're trying to sell something, right? We're trying to sell you. So at the very most like tangible level, I like EPKs, electronic press kits, because it shows me a couple of different things. You already have some kind of direction of where you want to go. You're giving me something to listen to, and also it kind of shows me a little bit of the seriousness. We can spruce it up. We can make it nicer when we want to present it to brands and other people. But to me, just on a very granular level, because I get so many people that like, send me music or want to do stuff, and it's like, look, all right, package this up as an EPK. I can send you EPKs. I can send you links if you don't know what that is. But like, give me something. Let's get this ball rolling on you telling me what your vision is. Let me hear the music. Let me see what the brand is on Instagram. All this is in this one cohesive place, right? So like for me, like for something tangible, like when I was trying to get a manager and all of them was like, I need an EPK. And I'm like, I'm already getting gigs. Why do you need this? But now as a manager, I understand, like, it was almost like some Mr. Miyagi Daniel, something like that was like the bonsai tree sort of test. Like, how serious are you with this? Like with the wax on, wax off. But seriously, like EPK, look up what artists, look up what the EPK is. You want to talk to folks like I'm telling you.
Can I get you to expound on that? Instead of them looking it up, can I get you to tell me just the basic elements of what what EPK stands for?
Yeah, an electronic press kit. An electronic press kit is a file of some sort. Some people like to call it a one-pager. Back in the G, it was a physical. We printed out papers and cassette tapes and put them things in manila folders and send them to labels. But no, it's any kind of electric file that houses like a bio of yourself, maybe some music files, any press releases that you put out. It can look a bunch of different ways. There is no certain template. In short, it is a file that you can send to somebody and they can quickly know about you and quickly hear your stuff.
And just maybe some highlights of like things that you've done so far. Like even if there's small accomplishments, it's like we want to know about them. Like, I sold out DBA. Cool, just like wherever you're at, yeah, just like I'd like to see just like little bits of press, a link to like your, top 3 best songs, music video, if you have one. And any sort of like notable accomplishments of just like, oh, I got an award for my songwriting, or, whatever it is that you're proud of, that you want to put out there as a representation of your brand.
So it's an artist resume, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get the job, which is a gig, which is a brand partnership. You need these elements. So there's the links to the music, videos, notable things that you've done, a picture, right? And all this packaged up in an easy way to get from you to anybody else who wants it.
It's usually a PDF.
Love it.
Ultimately,
With
I think
hyperlinks.
what you have to do as an artist when you're approaching managers is, to sum it all up, I think, is you're selling yourself. You got to sell yourself to me. Let me know. And if it's through an EPK, or if you happen to be in front of the manager and you can actually speak to the manager, you have to be able to give us everything that's going to make us want to work with you and feel your passion. If you can't sell yourself, then how do I expect you to sell to the masses? You got to sell to me first.
Yeah.
Convince me that you're next, and then I can help convince everyone else. But you got to be able to convince me first.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I am going to ask one more question before we get to the Q&A part. So if you have questions formulating right now, it's a good time to get those concise and ready to roll. But we spent a lot of time talking about how artists can prepare themselves to engage a talent manager, to work better with a talent manager. But just to make sure that we are being of service to our artist community, if they're going out looking for a manager, and it sounds like a lot of y'all's plates are full, right? We're good, we're rostered up. Okay. So if they're gonna go out and look for a talent manager and it's not one of you 5 excellent, exemplary, integral people, what are they supposed to be looking for to make sure that the person that they do engage as their talent manager is effective and is a good fit for them?
I think reverse what we said, that we look for the artist, reverse that into the manager. You know, you make sure it's somebody that you feel like you could trust, somebody that you feel that their vision is the same as yours, that they stand on the same 10 toes that you stand on, that, you know, you feel like you're willing to put your career in their hands and trust that they will help you move forward and expand on what you want to do in your career.
I would say diligence, organization, work ethic, honesty, trust, respect. Yeah, I mean, he said it, Mousa said it, like, you know, just everything that we're looking for in y'all, you should be looking for in us as well.
And then I think capacity, right? I mean,
You
don't want to ask your friend. I wish that I mean, me and Tavia talk about this all the time. I wish that I could, like, literally, I wish I could take on most of these dope people that present themselves to me, but I just don't have the capacity, and I don't want to sell you short. So when looking for somebody, make sure somebody who literally has the capacity. If your dream is to be touring, you know, 6 months out of the year, then maybe you shouldn't be leaning towards a manager who has 3 other businesses that are not music or touring related, or, you know, family of 6 folks. And, like, I mean, you know, and all of us do all these different things, right? But that's a real thing that I think a lot of people don't consider, is like, what is the capacity that you have to grow this, right? Like Mousa said, like we've all said, like, we're most of the time growing something, you know, that is a little seed into a bigger thing. It's a different story when you're getting a revenue artist already brought to you. But yeah, I think that's at the core of it, like, what really, like, helps.
I think integrity is important. Most people don't talk about stuff like this, but I was managing an artist for, 6, and I felt like I got them to the point that I could get them, and I went to them and was like, hey, I think I did what I can here, and I think you need somebody that's better suited to do what you need them to do. That wasn't an easy decision for me, but I believe in not shortchanging the people that I work with. So even they wanted me to stay. They were like, I'm happy. But I was like, I know that I can't get you where you're trying to go. So I would rather you be under somebody who can. And I just think integrity on both sides are very, very important. Yeah, that's my big thing too, integrity.
As I'm sitting here as someone who does not have a artist management background, I've not been a performing artist for a really long time, it sounds to me like it's easier to teach someone or have somebody learn on the job some of these more role-specific tasks than have someone who has integrity, that you do trust, that you have a relationship with, and they can grow into the role of a manager than it is the other way around? Or is there something I'm missing there?
That sounds about right. And also, like, management to me was a learn as you go thing. It was nothing that I could have, like, went to a classroom and been like, all right, I know how to do this. Like, to me, it's a in the field, get your hands dirty job. If you don't know how to do it, you need to learn how to do it type thing.
Definitely. I mean, like, I have a music business degree. Nate has a music business degree. Like, but what I learned in those classes is, 1% of what I've learned in the field as a manager. That's totally true.
I feel like a lot of that is because every artist is different. Like, even as a manager, and I've managed multiple artists, I haven't managed all of them the same way. They were different people. They had different goals. They had different music, different venues that they played at, different artists that they collaborated with. Like, managing each artist is honestly its own individual journey and adventure in and of itself. So yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, that's so true, you know, and like you can't just like slap a formula on to every artist to be like, okay, well it worked with them, it worked with Frida, it's gonna work with Sweet Crude. Nah, they're different people, they're different paths, they're different journeys, you know, and I think, you know, finding somebody that understands those little intricacies that make you a unique artist and wants to take those things and work with them, and you know, yeah, it's very important.
Awesome. Thank you guys for answering all of these questions so thoroughly. All of the different perspectives that we had up here, I think, have added to a very robust and diverse conversation. I want to give you guys a round of applause before we go to the question and answer, because y'all have done the job. But I am now going to share the microphone. So if you have a question, can I get you to come to the middle here? And I'm going to pass my microphone to you. Do know I will take my mic back. I'm in a room full of a bunch of artists. Please don't debut any songs right now. One question. We have 30 minutes for questions.
First and foremost, thank y'all for your time. My name is Ellie Earhart. I am a songwriter and artist here. I want to know, what are some of the common traits you have seen in artists that produce longevity, whether it be in a business or just relationships overall? What are those common traits?
Sacrifice and consistency. I think Big Sean got this song called Sacrifice. I done sacrificed my mind. I done sacrificed my time. I done sacrificed my family. Like, I think artists that are successful are willing to fail. And you have to be willing to fail to succeed. So I think that's a common thing that you need. You need to be willing to dedicate yourself to your craft, to be consistent in it, and you're in such a subjective art field. It varies. So yeah, just being consistent and dedicated and willing to make the sacrifices to get to the point where you feel you have succeeded.
I would say keep the main thing the main thing. If you want to be a music artist and you want to be a really good music artist, I'm not saying that you can't branch off and do other things, because as we all know in this day and age, there's so many different ways to be famous. You can have a song, and a song can take you to movies, a song can take you anywhere else. But if you want to be a great recording artist, you got to keep the main thing, and focus on that music. We can't make the music better.
Hi, everybody. My name is Raven, but my stage name is Ray Sav. I'm a rapper and producer from New Orleans East. It kind of segues from LA's question. I want to talk about boundaries and balancing that, because y'all talked about just like being personal assistant, well, not personal assistant, but personal assistant, and trying to be a manager. And I just want to know about boundaries that you do have to set for mental health, but also how do you balance that? And then how do you build community within your boundaries, and how you balance work and life?
I think communication is key. Yeah, that's a very good question. Communication is key, and you know, I think I don't know. I think I kind of know just from everybody's perspective. Like, you know, the people I was working with were my friends, right? And so we were already on the phone, hanging out, going out at each other's houses, going to extracurricular activities. And so when it came to like having a business relationship, you know what I'm saying, that Tavia really helped with this, because I watched her, you know, set boundaries, because these are our friends. Of course we want to hang out, but communication, right? Communicating. We've been on the road together for 6 weeks. Do not call me for the next 4 days when we get home and I'm gone by my family. But like seriously having those conversations and them being empathetic to those conversations, them knowing, ooh, Nate got a kid and a wife. Like, nobody's about to die right now. I'll talk to him in the morning. Just like consideration, stuff like that. Just knowing what to prioritize, what not to prioritize. I think, yeah, that is, I think, a really kind of big part of it. And me, I've learned from just kind of watching the people who have been doing it and like really staying consistent with their artists and like, you know, and I see the relationships. I see the keying, you know, I see the laughing, but I also see the business getting handled, you know what I'm saying? And I also see these artists and these managers having their own lives, you know, it's not completely tied into each other. And so with me, communication, like, because I might want you to be in my face today, but then next, you know, I might feel a different way, but I need to communicate that with you, and the artist needs to communicate that with, you know, me. Hey, this week I want to ride in the car by myself. This week I don't want to share no room with nobody. I'm going through some stuff. Like, be real with me. I'm going to be real with you. And like, I think that is like the beginning of boundary setting.
Yeah. I think Nate is 100% right with that. And I would just, I guess, just like to share that it's difficult sometimes, you know. It is really difficult to put those boundaries up and in place, but I think, you know, because like Tavi was saying, like, as managers, you sacrifice so much, and especially at the beginning, I think, when you're really grinding and really working hard to get your artist off the ground, like, a lot of stuff goes by the wayside, you know. You end up working 12 and 14-hour days, you know. I mean, there was like a 3-month period like earlier this year where I didn't have any days off. And you know, but that's the choice that I make, you know, and I've chosen to manage 4 artists. Not everybody does that, you know what I mean? But like, it is important to put up whatever boundaries feel good to you to protect your mental health, and at the same time, you know that, you know, you're doing the most, and, you know, like, because to me, like, working really hard, that's what makes me feel good about myself too, you know what I'm saying? Like, just knowing that I am out there doing everything I possibly can for my artists. And so, like, that's part of, you know, my mental health as well. But, you know, again, like, that's when it becomes like having that important relationship where you can have that free flowing communication between the two of you, where you're just like, hey, I need a break. I need to, you know. And for me, I'm more set boundaries with other people that in my work world than my artists. Like, I do want, like, I know managers that are like, I don't take calls after 10 p.m. and that's just what I do, and that's my time and my space, and or they say after work hours, after 6 p.m. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm not like that. I'll take a call from my artist at any time of day. Who I won't take a call from is a promoter that wants to bug me about doing a paid ad for his show 6 months down the line, you know? So, like, I set boundaries with promoters. I set boundaries with the other people that it is who we work with. Like, I think setting those boundaries is really important, but with my artists, my boundaries are a little flexible. But that's just who I am as a manager. Like, I think it's important to know, like, you know, because, like, if you take on too much and then you crack, that's not going to be good for your artist or yourself. So just, like, knowing what your limits are, being honest about those, and, you know, when you need to take some time for yourself to, like, you know, have a life outside of this business, you have to do that. It's so important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Ron Davalos. I'm currently managing 2 artists, a hip-hop artist and an R&B artist out here in New Orleans, and I'm also a marketing manager over at the House of Blues. But I also had a question specifically for you all in regards to your first tour. What did you all learn from that experience specifically? Because I know it's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot that goes into it for sure. And what is that? Yeah, a lot. You're placed in different circumstances and different scenarios. So definitely want to get y'all intake and insight on that for sure.
I think my first tour, the most important thing I learned, don't bring so many people with you. It's all the friends, they can stay home. If they don't have a job, a task that they're gonna perform on this tour, then we, you know, no disrespect, but we don't need you on this bus. You're just taking up space. You know, you're really becoming a cost that we could do without. So, you know, because on tour, if you are on tour, like on a tour bus, it's a lot of attitudes on one bus. Even though you're friends, once you put them on that bus and we're traveling 8, 10 hours, 12 hours straight, a lot could change, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing I learned. Like, don't bring so many people, and it's going to get better. And my tour started shrinking as far as staffing. You know, you don't do nothing, we don't need you this trip. Don't trip. You know, we'll send you pictures.
People management, right? I mean, that's one thing that I mean, obviously the music, right, which I know, and obviously the business, which I know, but I mean, like, the people management of it. Yes, these were my friends, but no, we had never been in this close proximity for this long amount of time together, right? In uncharted territory, in the Topeka, Kansases of the world, and the Iowas, and all, yeah, like, you know, so again, I think like that's where that trust kind of kicks in, right? But people management, right? Being able to know how to deal with people, conflict resolution, like, yes, these were my friends. Yes, we're all friends. But really, literally, like, project management is probably the best thing. Most stuff that I've begun to, like, read that helped me was very project management based, and how do you lead different kinds of people? Because artists are very finicky people, fickle, very, you know, we are people that change. We are very, you know, fluctuating folks. That's the nice way I can say it. And then you add New Orleans artists on top of it, we extra special, right? That's what make us even more doper, right? So, but nah, project management, people management, and like one thing I always learn from most of my OGs is people like yourself, the marketing managers, the people that work at these venues, I go talk to everybody. And like my relationships with some folks came from when I was a tour manager, but I spoke to you, or we connected, or like, and like I speak to everybody, the guy cleaning the restrooms, the promoter, the investor in the building. I treat all of them people the same way. Ain't nobody gonna get no special attention, you know, and those have yielded, you know, positive relationships for me to maintain those relationships for future stuff. But like, yeah, man, people management, learning how to deal with people, talk to people, different types of people, how to deal with people that don't share the same views. Like, that's going to help you with your artists and with everybody else, you know?
I totally agree with that. My first tour was kind of odd, right? Because I had been a booking agent for 10 years, booking tours, putting my artists in all these places that I had never fucking been to. And looking back on that, I'm like, every single booking agent needs to go on a tour within their first like year or two in the industry to see the types of situations that you are asking your artists to deal with, you know, and knowing those clubs. I mean, it's impossible to go to every single club or every single festival in America, but, you know, the more that you can learn about these places and spaces and recognize the position that you're putting your artist in, the better. So like me and Tavia and Nate, and we went on the Headbanger tour in, what was that, 2018, and it was Big Frida and Tank and the Bangas co-headlining a sold-out tour in like 2,000 cap rooms all across the country. And I had booked that tour as a booking agent, but I was transitioning into becoming a manager, so I went on the whole damn thing just to see, like, what are we getting into here? And I learned so much. I learned more on that one tour on my way out the door as a booking agent than I learned in 10 years of booking those tours. Like, actually having that experience, seeing these rooms, meeting those promoters, like figuring out like what promoters you actually do want to work with in the future, like who treated us the best, where did we feel like it was family and it was home and they gave us a good meal and, you know, had actually a good sound system, and just instead of just playing like they do, you know, who actually had a green room for the band to hang out in. Like, all of those little details are so important, and like I would have never known those sitting behind a desk booking a tour. I had to get out there and see it. So the more opportunity you do have to travel with your artists and to see these places and spaces that you're asking for them to go into, and to, you know, make that sacrifice to not have a green room, deal with a subpar sound system, all the rest, you know, like the more you know walking in, the better.
I'm sorry I laughed like that when you asked that
It's
question.
all good. It was on my heart.
It was very like authentic too. I just thought about my first tour was with Nate and 10 other people in an RV, and we came back broke. And I think I learned the same lesson you learned: leave some people at home. We was tripping. We went on a summer tour in an RV. Man, y'all, Nate was on a cooler in a 12-passenger van the same summer. We was tripping, but we was like so happy to do it. There's been tours where I came back and gave everybody $17. Like, you get out there and you realize, Lord, this is not what I thought it was when I was like that was like the same year I quit my jobs too, and my mom was like, "What you doing?" I was like, "We gonna be good." Nah, but I learned it ain't no guarantee you coming back with no check. That's what I learned.
Yeah. Everything's always more expensive than you think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Going on tour is about the closest thing you'll ever get to being a pirate. Like, you are going from place to place trying to get some money. And sometimes the money ain't there. Sometimes the money is funny. Sometimes the money stank. Honestly, touring is truly one of the most humbling things that you can ever do as an artist or as a manager. My first tour was the headline artist's first tour, her team's first tour, and the artist that I was with, I think it was his second tour, because Pell had gone on tour with G-Eazy before. And he only did like 5 days with G, but this time we were on the whole tour. And it was just humbling, man. We all learned, we learned so much. And like so many people from that tour, like I wish I could say the artist, but I don't want to, because so many things was like, it was great, but it was different. I don't like saying people's names, but like so many of those people on that tour are doing such great things now. Like one guy founded a fantastic clothing brand that is like taking off all around the world. The headlining artist is now one of the biggest R&B artists in the world. The other opener, who is also a hometown favorite, she is singing. She's fantastic now. Like, everybody's off doing great things. But at that time, we were all babies. We were rookies. We did not know what was going on. The funniest thing we did was in between here and San Antonio, we put the wrong gas in the Mercedes Sprinter. And the Sprinter broke down. Yes. Somebody put regular gas in the diesel Sprinter. So
diesel exhaust fluid into the engine instead of where it went
see what
one
I'm
time.
saying? See what I'm saying?
Should we bring a mechanic on tour? Should we have
Yes, you should. And also, like, the main thing that was wrong with that tour is what Mousa said. We had too many people, dog. There was like 3 stylists. It was wild. But honestly, it's a humbling thing. It's a beautiful thing, because you get to see the expression of people all around the country, or God forbid you get to that point, all around the world, and how they respond to you and the hard work that you've put in. It is as a kid that grew up going to concerts, like, I didn't ask for a bunch of video games, like clothes and stuff. I asked for concert tickets. It's one of the most gratifying things I've ever done, was bringing somebody's favorite artist to their city and putting on an amazing show and seeing the whole crowd love it. My favorite artist I ever toured with, and this is no slight to Tank and the Bangas, because I love them, is PJ Morton. Because PJ's crowd is a choir. Every single person that can sing within a 90-mile radius is about to come there, and they're going to sing back at us. Like, the whole crowd, it's just beautiful. So, I mean, and also, like, it's also beautiful when you get to a spot and the room is empty and it's only, I don't know, 20 people in there for your set, but all 20 of them people know every single word. It is a thing. I promise. There's a drug. I don't know if it's oxytocin or dopamine, whatever gets like it's something like you'll never experience. So touring is beautiful. It's hard, it's humbling, but it is a beautiful and gratifying experience when done right.
That's right. I got you. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dang, that was a really nice question. My name is Baker. I'm a musician, a guitarist mainly, but a musician of all kinds, soundscapes, esoterics, that's my thing. I can play anything, but like I also have my own unnameable brand things. And my question is, and I really want to hear from you especially, because you just seem real like emotional about these things in a good way. So I really want to But what's the most creative way an artist has gotten your attention and like deciding to take them on or like recommend them to someone you are in connection with? And then like, how much did self-management play a role in that?
So the question, what was the most unique thing that an artist did to catch our attention?
In terms of being like, hey, I want to like go in and be like, yeah, let me work with this person, or like, oh, I can't do it, but like I know the person who can, so like let me give you their number and like y'all go. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one. You got one more?
Well, I just feel like the only thing for me that has put me in that situation is just undeniable raw talent. You know, I'll like see an artist play a show and just be like, damn, they really got something there. Wish I could take it on. I can't, but maybe I could hook them up with somebody I know just because, like, of what I see on that stage. You know, I feel like we're definitely not looking for artists to like, you know, show up at our house with a boombox and play us their song or anything. Like you don't have to, you know, do something crazy in order to get a manager's attention. You just got to be, you know, showcasing your best self.
I mean, like you said,
way.
be realistic.
Say yeah.
For me, I signed an artist just because he believed in himself and he was doing the work. I was not even like a fan or knew about him or had listened to his music. I sat down with him and we had like a very long conversation, and I was like, wow, you got some hustle in you and you've achieved some great things on your own and you really believe in yourself, which made me believe in him.
As a manager, I don't think I've ever really gotten a spectacular, a pitch from somebody other than like, what do you do? How do you do it? Can you be my manager? How can you help me? But I do remember when I was working at a record label in New York, I was riding on the subway with a sweatshirt on with the label on it, and this guy, he was on the subway rapping. He was in a wheelchair. And he came over to me and like, inquired about the sweatshirt, and I told him like, I'm fresh out of law school, I'm an A&R over here, blah, blah, blah. And we sat and talked about music for about, it had to be about 10, 15 minutes because it was a long subway ride. And at the end of that, I got his info. We still DM on Instagram sometime. He goes by Wheels. And that was probably the coolest like first artist interaction that I ever had where a guy came up to me. But I've been in plenty of situations where I've gone to a show and an artist has just impressed me to the point where I'm like, I gotta go meet you. Like even if you have I wanna meet you and your manager. I wanna know what you got going on. Like how can I help in any sort of way? Like even if there's nothing I can do, I'm gonna just follow you because I'm impressed. Like that's typically what happens for me because I'm a live show guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I listen to music, I stream it. Like, if you send me a link, of course, I'll listen to it. But I gotta see you live to really know what I'm working with, you know what I mean? And that's just me.
I agree with that 100%. Like, I think that's what we always talk about. Like, we have to see the artist live in order to see what we're working with.
I'm from New Orleans. Like, we perform in the middle of the street. Like, I'm not concerned about, you having a great LED screen or, Travis Scott pyrotechnics. Like, sing for me, like, in front of me. Like, let me see the tears well up in your eyes when you sing about that girl you broke up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want to know. So.
I hate to be the time czar, but I'm going to have to do that. We have 3 more people waiting, and we have about 10 minutes, so we're going to do about 3 minutes worth of answers of questions for the next 2 questions, all right?
Sorry, we're long-winded.
No,
It's my fault.
Great. I'm just looking at the time and going, oh, I didn't book enough time. So go for it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Joshua. I'm an artist. I also manage a local group called the Smooth Cat and Nightlife. So I'm in a really vague position. We get booked a lot, which is a blessing, right? But I'm kind of at a point where a lot of the shows, I guess, don't really seem worth it. So I guess in short, my question is, when is a good time to start implementing a guarantee? Like sometimes we do a premium price for people, yada, yada. But I'm having trouble sort of navigating like when to know. I just want to know, or not want to know. I'm not sure if I'm shooting myself in the foot by not taking certain gigs because, okay, it's not paying enough. But at the same time, I've been paid enough for a long time to know that that's not it. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't want to make the community feel like I'm not part of the community because I'm not playing. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really know what to do, you know?
I think you gotta test the waters when you're booking your artists. Sometimes, you know, you gotta look at first the gig. If it's not paying enough, what else are you gonna get out of the gig? Is it a good position for your artist? Is it a stage my artist needs to be on? You know, because then that's gonna build that artist's value. And then at the end of the day, when you feel like maybe you're not charging enough, you know, I would test the water with a promoter. You know, I'm gonna ask for a certain amount. It may be ridiculous, but I'm gonna see if they go for it. If they go for it, that means a whole bunch of other people go for it too, because they're seeing something that you as the manager may not see right now. You know, and once you do that, it kind of gives you that building status. And I've done that with my artists, and I've built them to. I've had people say, "You crazy? It's not worth that." I said, "Well, technically I am crazy, but I got 10 contracts that show that there's other crazy people out there with me." You know, and so we build and we get bigger, and then those smaller ones we forget about them because we did build it up.
My favorite phrase as a booking agent to say to people I quote them a price and be like, "I'm always open to your best offer." You know, I think that at a certain point you do have to recognize your artist's value and start doing some crazy shit and asking for more than you deserve. But you know, your artist does deserve that. They will get there. And you know, if this person's paying you, let's say $5,000, right? And you're like, okay, that's normally what we would make on 2 gigs. So I'm gonna give that promoter, because obviously I'm from San Francisco originally, right? There's in San Francisco, we have a thing that y'all don't have here in New Orleans. It's called exclusivity, where, you know, promoters would demand that you stay out of the market for a certain amount of days. But that's not really how it works down here. You know, people play every week, or, you know, sometimes multiple times in a weekend. And I think that's really cool of the promoters to allow that because of the community here and because, you know, of everything. But you know, if somebody is overpaying you and you know you're being overpaid, I would just really focus on making that the best possible show, so that promoter doesn't feel like it wasn't money well worth spent. And then you crush that show for that promoter, and you get that big check, and then you know, like, all right, now I can really go and ask for this from everybody else, you know? And sometimes it takes that exclusivity. It takes going, nah, man, we can't play for free on Frenchman this week. We got that big ticketed gig coming up, and we got to make sure we do that one right, you know? So, but yeah, always just saying, I usually quote between X amount of dollars and X amount of dollars, but we're always open to your best offer. We love the club. We'd love to work with you, that kind of thing.
And if they don't want to give you the money that you want, feel free to take it upon yourself and throw your own thing, man. For real. Like, go get a venue, go get a place, throw your own thing, charge tickets, and show them how much you're worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. And y'all should come see us at Cafe Assemble next Sunday.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, pull up.
Before we go to the next question, can I borrow your mic? One thing I did want to add to your answer is that if you are trying to decide if something is worth your time or your effort, if the money's not all the way there, to Mousa's point, like, what else is there that your artist could get out of that experience? Think about how that experience, that stage, that audience aligns with your future goals, aligns with the brand that you guys already are trying to build, right? If that's a stage that artist is supposed to be on, and an audience that's going to connect with them on a real, authentic, long-term level, that's worth maybe some of the money that you're not making up front, because now you've made fans that are actually going to come see you when you are making money at those other places, right? So that's part of the balance that we need to think about.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I do producing and event coordinating in the city. And my question was, what advice would you give to individuals who are interested in mentorship? How do I ask for a mentor, and what should I look for in a fulfilling mentorship?
Come up to the stage after. Get some phone numbers and some emails. We're all very nice people. We got you.
This is one of my mentees, so I don't get to answer that. But yeah, but seriously, I think, just because I know you, Jordan, but I think, seeking programs and communities and just resources, that are available for you is one thing, right? And then I think too, much like what we said for the artist, you know, how are you pitching yourself? You know, if I get in front of so-and-so, how would I pitch that I really want to do this or I really want to learn this? Also, the internet is a powerful tool, right? The internet came like when I was coming up. So when I first came up and I was looking up the Quincy Joneses, you know, and all these people of the world, I kind of had to do it like in an encyclopedia. Now we can get all these people information. You get the address if you want to. Don't go to nobody's house. But I'm saying, like, you know, we can get all this information on people. We can find these common threads. We can find where people are going to be. We can find, you know, some of the trends that folks are like really into. I think, and I mean, utilize that. So if we know somebody's going to be somewhere, ooh, okay, maybe I should have my business card, or I have my pitch down, or, you know, I need to put myself in position to be in front of that person. But in the meantime, in between time, just keep reading and learning as much as you can, because when you get that opportunity, like, they're going to want to take you on when they see that you're, like Mousa said, serious in their eyes.
Peace to y'all, my name.
Can I just say one thing real quick about that? Just a real quick thing. I think that there's also like, there's a lot of programs here in New Orleans that support that kind of mentorship. You know, we are all part of a fellowship program where if you're interested in learning about artist management, you can, if you're a rising senior graduating from college, you can apply for a fellowship with our companies, which essentially gives you a paid job right out of college in your chosen field. We usually take interns and turn them into fellows and, you know, kind of go from there. But I would just say, like, you know, that's one thing that I've been, like, so impressed by as a transplant, you know, coming here is, you know, this incredible community of New Orleans and the things that they really do to support artists and the people and how they're trying to collectively grow the music business here. And I think that that's like a main priority of these kind of programs is, you know, keeping New Orleans money in New Orleans. You know, artists don't need to necessarily go outside of their city in order to work with talented, you know, people in their fields. And there are a lot of programs out there like that. So I would just encourage you to check those out too.
Peace to you. My name is Faji. I got a quick question. I heard you say earlier that an artist could take off and then leave you for a better manager, a more established manager. But what happens when an artist takes off and they leave their manager for you and you never been a manager?
And you've never been a manager?
Right. The artist is established, but that artist, like you said, it basically
So if I'm understanding, you're saying if you're a successful artist and you leave your manager for a manager who is not as good as your last?
Well, like he said earlier, this person is your friend. This person thinks
right.
If anybody believes, you believe, and if anybody gonna go to bat, you gonna go to bat. But it's kind of like, how do you jump into something that's already moving?
How do you jump into what exactly? Into
and like we were saying earlier, like I don't want to be an assistant. You know, things
right.
are moving, so you kind of just like, what do I fit in? I don't want that task. But
so you're saying, like, if you would as an artist, your artist feels like they need a better manager? I'm just trying to get exactly
correctly. You're saying that an established artist who had success with an established manager decided to leave the established manager and partner with someone who has never been a manager.
Well, I have an idea of the music industry. So it's kind of like, if you imagine you telling somebody how you want your career to go, and they don't really see it, but then they ask you, and you see every single thing that they want.
You believe in this person, but you.
I think, it's my, you know, to me, it's my favorite artist, but it's like, it's already moving.
I would say make yourself knowledgeable. Get your a mentor. If this person left somebody who knew the business and who was established to have you manage them, they must believe in you in some type of way. So you have to step up to the task if you believe in them in that type of way. Like I told y'all in the beginning, I didn't know anything about the music business. My degree was in business, but not music. And the fact that somebody was saying I was their manager and I had never worked in that, I put my head in the books of what I could learn. I listened to who been in the industry, came to things like this, reached out to people who have been, because what you don't know as a manager hurts your artist. So I would say, don't take on that task right away. Say, I believe in you so much and I want to do this job well. Let me come in and work with you as the personal assistant. Ain't nothing wrong with being a personal assistant. You know, we're talking from a space of being managers already, but being as though you're going to be going in, I think you being a personal assistant is a good start.
But this the weird part is like, you can, like I've said, like I respect it, but it's like I don't really know it. But the person is like telling people this is my manager. You know what I mean? Like it's like I can't say no to it.
Is there a possibility of co-managing? Is there a way for you to be the day-to-day for that person and still be able to consult with the other manager to at least help him guide you to becoming what you need to be? And because a lot of things, I had a publicist that told me a long time ago, a publicist is only good as their Rolodex. So like I said, it was a long time ago they had a Rolodex. So in that sense, as a manager, you become better because of the context that you get in the relationships that you build. I may build a relationship with a corporate account, but my next artist I get, it's an easy phone call to that corporate account and say, well, I have another artist. This artist, it's a possibility I'll get them a deal now with that corporation. But it was because of the relationship I built. You know, the same thing when you said you used to be a booking agent. Promoters have relationships with booking agents. You know, my artists, I could tell you, I had an artist, well, Currency never, Tyrick, who owns Rolling Loud, Currency was his first artist he ever booked as a promoter, ever. And he said the only reason I was able to book Currency, he was the only one that answered the phone for me. But I built that relationship with Tyrick. Now he's the owner of the biggest hip hop festival in the world. And he said as a thank you to you for being that person to answer the phone for me, Currency will be on every Rolling Loud I ever produce. And he's kept his word. Now that's been 6-7 years now. And you got to realize festivals pay good. And they're doing 2, 3, 4 a year now, Rolling Loud. So that's good money every year. So it's about, I think, what you have to do is try. You want to know the business because you don't want to fumble the ball, especially when you're holding, you know, somebody that you hold dear to you, your friend that you feel is super talented and is already growing. You don't want to slow their growth. So if you can't team up with his old manager, try and team up with either another manager or as a mentor or somebody that can at least guide you. You know, you know. I always tell people, feel free to call me, ask questions. If I can give you an answer, I'm gonna give it to you.
How y'all doing?
All right.
My name is Nasir. I'm an upcoming musical artist named Nas Got Next. Nas Got Next, all platforms, by the way. Y'all can check that out for sure. But I can say I'm an upcoming artist who I can say I've been building a lot of leverage for myself as far as like with the help of my dad. I got a song on the radio right now that's going crazy with another big artist in the city named wrmng. I know some of y'all probably familiar with him. But I also just really building my name and brand up of, well, really my name, Nas Got Next, about just like, I just went by seeing what the greats did, you know, really just weren't focusing on the music, pushing the music out, being consistent. And I could say like that was always my motto. Like I would, instead of like a regular photo camera, I would get like photographic pictures. And as far as with camera quality, I wouldn't pay like for $100, $200 video, I would pay for like the $600 video. Even with studio time, they have studios that's like real cheap, but I would go to like the higher quality studios, you know, mix and master and all that, right? So I could say I built a lot of leverage for myself on my own. And the question that I want to ask y'all, like, what's some advice on what could I really do next? You feel me? If like I'm covering a lot of groundwork in already myself, you dig?
I mean, it sounds like you on the right path. You got a passion for your craft. You believe in yourself, and you don't mind investing, whether it's financially or time, in yourself to grow. Now the thing is, like you said, is growing those records and growing eyes that are going to be able to look at you and decide that, you know, what's the next step for you. You know, it may be nothing. You're doing all the right steps. So,
and not to cut you off, I could also say, like, even performing like shows. I went to school in Hammond. I could say I built the buzz up in Hammond first, but that just made like New Orleans respected more, because like I started doing shows out there. People know my songs word for word. I would have videos, you know, posting that on social media. So I'm saying that to say, like, I feel like I did like a lot, like already, like, and like I said, Nas got next all platforms. I could say everywhere I go, like even the kids and stuff, I swear to God, a kid walked up to me today and said, Nas got next. I said, how you know me? I said, how you know me? He said, Instagram. He said, you tough. I said, what song you like? He said, all of them. Like that, like stuff like that make me, you know, want to keep going. You feel me? Like that make me want to keep going. But like I could say to myself, people think I got it figured out, but like I don't really be knowing like what's the next step. Like what could I do? What should I be doing? Like even with managers, I could say like 3 people then came at me, like want to manage me, but like I always felt like, what do I really have to manage right now? You feel me? And I could say with you, bro, I just saw you, you know, a couple days ago at my job. Yeah. But I just like the day before I seen you, I literally seen Nolazine post you, and you was talking about how a manager is your manager, not an investor. You feel me? So like, I was saying that to say like, do you even feel like it is the right time for a manager? You feel me? Because my preference was always on it like, I knew that I get a lot of advice. People walk up to me, yeah, make sure your business right, make sure your paperwork right, make sure, you feel me? But like, if you already having a mindset going into something, not being open-minded, like, all right, this person probably trying to mess over me, do something like what are...
I think you got to know the business. If you feel like that, like, you know, you're not sure if somebody's trying to mess over you, it's nothing wrong with an artist knowing the business. An artist should always know the business. The manager should be there to facilitate the business and to help you. When you got too much on your hand and too much on your plate, you need somebody to help move that along and kind of separate what needs to happen and don't need to happen. So if you're at that point and you're able to show to a manager, like, this is all the stuff I got going on. Now I got people reaching out to me that wants to book me. I got people reaching out to me trying to license my music or anything, you know. Then there's something there that a manager could say, well, look, I can see where he or she needs help, and they could step in and start helping. Or that manager, like we've been saying, like usually it's one of our friends. We believe in you so much that we just want to help you. You know what I'm saying? So what you're doing that, I think you're on the path. Don't quit that. Keep pushing. Don't think that, all right, I've done all I could do. You haven't done all you could do. You're doing the right thing. Continue to do that.
Stay consistent. All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. That's a book like that I got hip to in college, and it's got multiple editions now. Again, it's All You Need to Know About, I think that's the name, All You Need to Know About the Music Business, Donald Passman. But it's a very, very good, right, Tavia, right. I mean, like that, I think I gave you that, but like that's where I learned, that's where my core was, and so like that was a good, it does a very good job of like just really breaking down the fundamentals of the industry. And like Mousa said, like some of the most successful artists right now are also very privy to the business. I mean, yes, they have good managers and good teams, but also they themselves know the business. They themselves can innovate ideas and be able to present them and pitch them. So just like you said, I mean, also, as artists, like, pat yourself on the back, man. You have done the work. You have been making those strides. Sometimes it's good to just pat yourself on the back, be like, all right, this dope, and then keep going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, keep on doing what you're doing, but learn as much as you can learn. You know, that increases your wealth. That increases you not only knowing what your wealth is, but it also increases your wealth. I have artists who can talk splits and percentages with licensing and syncing folks, who can talk ticket number percentages with agents, and that makes them more valuable. That makes those agents take them more serious and know they can't mess over them too. So, you know, but yeah, keep on doing what you're doing.
I'm going to say that now it's off. The amount of questions that we've had and the in-depth conversation that has happened in this room is a testament to how excellent this panel is up here. So I want y'all to know that we did build in some time for you guys to be able to have conversations with them, to do some networking. It's a little bit shorter now that we've had such a long Q&A session, but I do want to encourage you guys, if there's someone up here who really you feel like, you know, their experience or their journey is aligned with where you want to go or what you're trying to do, make sure you get their contact information, follow up, send an email, send your EPK, and make sure that you start to build these relationships, because as you can hear, relationship building is one of the most integral parts of your branding journey and your career as an artist, right? So before we end, I just want to let you guys know this is the second of 3 panels. We have one more happening next week, same time, same place. If you haven't already RSVP'd, the QR code is right up there. We'll be talking to some artists about promotion, professional and personal promotion, specifically around social media and how you use that to expand and build on your brand. And with that, I'm going to let these wonderful guys come down and meet you. And thank you all for joining us on today.
Thank you. Thank you.